Hey, this is Five of Clubs, and welcome to the first episode of Simpleton Supers, a series in which a simpleton plays one of his favorite superhero games. I love superheroes of all types, and there are three particularly excellent superhero games that I really enjoy: Marvel Champions, Marvel United, and Sentinels of the Multiverse. This will very likely be a longer sort of series compared to my Simpleton solo playthroughs, and that's simply because the breadth of content for this game is staggering. My introduction to Sentinels of the Multiverse was actually through the game's official digital adaptation by Handelabra Games. I saw it on Steam for 99 cents on sale years ago, and I thought it looked interesting, so I picked it up. However, this was before I had played even one modern board game, so I was quickly lost, and abandoned the game before finishing the tutorial. At that point in time, I didn't even know what a keyword was. I didn't feel bad about the 99-cent loss though, but see, it was worth a try in my opinion. Then, I left the game alone for about 2 or so years, burying it under a weight of countless other Steam acquisitions and forgetting its existence entirely. After my board game awakening, though, I sought out other cooperative board games on BoardGameGeek.com, and I ran into a modular superhero game about mashing 3 to 5 heroes together with a villain in an environment in comic-style showdowns. After seeing the cover for the game, it rang vaguely familiar to me. Then, upon seeing the cards, I definitely recalled having seen it before. After a quick Google search, I found the digital version Steam page again and was super excited to give it a renewed try. Funny how the perceptual value of something can change over time. I later learned that there was a nearly limitless pool of fan-created content for the game as well, which still continues to grow even 10 years after the original game's release. This prompted me to find out what drove the passions of the populace, at which point I stumbled upon the Letters Page podcast, a storytelling production that explains the lore of the entire Sentinels IP as told by its creators, Christopher and Adam. I thought I'd give it a listen, and I was blown away with just how much detail there was in the meanings behind the card arts and characters. This was clearly more than just a card game. The way the stories were told on the letters page, with publishing dates and comic issue names and numbers, I was accidentally convinced for a while into believing that their comic-verse tales were the byproduct of a real-life comic series. To be clear, though, neither the game nor the podcast are based on real comics, but I sure wish they were. While some of the characters in Sentinels are recognizable homages to pre-existing hero archetypes, don't be fooled by a cursory glance at the coat of paint. To this day, some of my favorite superhero stories and characters of all time come from the creative minds of Christopher and Adam. Some of the Sentinel storylines that have similar themes to existing comic stories even seem to improve upon them in some ways. For instance, I think the Iron Legacy storyline is a better crafted setup than its parallel DC Injustice storyline, and I was a huge fan of the Injustice storyline for at least the first 2 seasons. I have enjoyed countless hours of Sentinels content since. It's no wonder that their Sentinels RPG Kickstarter was a success. Even I've envisioned a few Sentinel stories I'd like to see in some form or another. With the new definitive edition coming just around the corner, I think it's time for a romp through the multiverse using my custom campaign light system, inspired loosely by the Nuzlocke format for playing Pokemon games. Though, to my potential shame, I'll admit I've never actually played a Pokemon game. In Nuzlocke games, when a character is defeated, they are considered dead and are removed from the campaign. There's also a fatigue mechanic in this campaign that requires heroes to rest before being ready to depart for another battle, meaning you have to rotate your roster of heroes rather than staying with a power team. Additionally, while you start with access to every environment, you only start with a few heroes in your roster, and villains available to fight. Most of the game's content, including other heroes, require you to defeat specific villains and/or stages to unlock those characters, sometimes even with specific heroes in your roster. For example, to unlock Omnitron X, you have to beat Cosmic Omnitron with the hero Unity on your team. Of course, in order to do that, you'll have to have unlocked Unity first, meaning you'll have needed to take down the base Omnitron villain. This progressive unlock system, as well as the fatigue system, lend a bit of strategy toward how you compose your teams for various fights. Do you want to face off against Baron Blade and Freedom Tower? Or would it be better to save that lenient stage for a tougher villain like the Chairman? Should I use Legacy against Grand Warlord Voss, or should I save him for the Matriarch who I plan to fight next? The ultimate goal of the campaign is to beat all the bosses in the game, leading up to the multiversal showdown against the final boss, the Supreme Cosmic Entity, Oblivion. Don't worry, I'll show how the rest of it works during gameplay. Now, Sentinels of the Multiverse is simultaneously simple and complex. Although the turn structure and the aim of the game are decently straightforward, there can be an unwieldy amount of tokens, modifiers, and responsive triggers and interactions to keep track of. It could be a bit much to handle, particularly for a solo player like myself, but I believe I can do it without accidentally cheating too much. The digital version here will help keep me honest as well, but when I play through some of the content not contained in the app here, I'll be using the tabletop version. Without further preamble, I think we'll kick things off by heading out to fight the Freedom 5's arch-nemesis, Baron Blade. Fittingly, your campaign roster starts you out with 5 members of the Freedom 5, a superhero team-up comparable to the Justice League from DC Comics. At the head of the team you have Legacy, a patriotic man with super strength, super speed, flight, and in situational invulnerability. He heralds from a familial line of superpowered individuals, dating back to the original Legacy, a silversmith apprentice under Paul Revere. Yes, that Paul Revere. Each generation of this family line inherits the powers of past legacies and manifests a new power of their own during their lifetime to pass on to the next generation of legacy thereafter, hence the name. Next is Tachyon, the team speedster. She is a world-class scientist who experienced a classic comic book accident during one of her experiments, flooding her body with tachyon particles and granting her super speed. Busy and productive as she already was, she had trouble slowing down without super speed, but now she's a hyper-productive force of science, accomplishing in minutes what might take months for normal people. Many of the scientific advancements in recent years in the Sentinels universe were thanks to her. Then there's the Wraith, a vigilante CEO who uses wealth and stealth to take down bad guys in the streets of Rook City, or as the graffiti often corrects, Crook City. After a mugging took her boyfriend's life and left her in a temporary coma, she sought the strength to defend and protect civilians from similar fates. She doesn't have any superpowers per se, but she's a brutally effective combatant and tactician with an arsenal of gadgets for any situation. Underestimate her at your own peril. Now for the boys in tech suits, starting with Bunker, an Army Armor Division mechanic turned lieutenant and pilot of an armored exo-chassis YS-1300T combat suit. He's a walking tank with a tactician's intellect, a dangerous combination for his foes. Like the Wraith, he also lacks innate supernatural powers, but his suit's abilities and arsenal are the force of reckoning. And lastly, there's Absolute Zero, sort of a heroic rendition of Dr. Freeze. With a tragic past in tow, Absolute Zero became the victim of a malfunctioned Sub-Zero atomizer, rewiring his internal temperature to settle at freezing. With a cybersuit, complements of Tachyon, allowing him to maintain a mobile Arctic climate wherever he goes, he uses his new ice generation and manipulation powers to help the people of Megalopolis as a member of the Freedom 5. While there are a few villains available at the start of the campaign, I think a bout with Baron Blade would make for a good first episode. He's a pretty simple villain, mechanically speaking, so he'll be an excellent vessel for demonstrating the game flow. So let's dive in and get going. Alright, Baron Blade, here he is. You can imagine sort of a Lex Luthor sort of guy. Essentially what he's going to be trying to do, aside from just pulverize us all, is he has a Terra Lunar Impulsion Beam. He is trying to pull the moon into the Earth to destroy it for reasons that only a mad scientist would know, I suppose. Indeed. So the way that this works is he has 40 health points, but before you can even touch those health points, he has a mobile defense platform in play that keeps him immune from damage, so you have to destroy that first. At the start of his turn, if there are ever 15 or more cards in the villain trash, Baron Blade's Terra Lunar Impulsion Beam activates, pulling the moon into the Earth, and that is the end of the game. So he's going to be trying to get cards into his trash as quick as he can so he can get that moon to be pulled into the Earth, and we need to beat him before such a time as he is able to accomplish that. Unfortunately, though, sometimes he is able to play additional cards, and whenever he plays cards that stay in play, when you destroy them, they go to his trash. So that's going to further complicate matters. And additionally, we're not going to play on his normal vote, we're going to play the advanced form. At the end of the villain turn, discard the top H-2 cards in the villain deck. So he already is going to be putting free cards in his trash. Alright, so at the start of the Nuzlocke campaign, you only get a hero count of 3. Let's set him to advanced. So let us go ahead and select some heroes. We're going to play Legacy, but we're going to play Freedom 5 Legacy because his original form is a little too powerful, I think. Okay, then we're going to get Bunker, and we're going to play his Freedom 5 version. And then let's play with Absolute Zero. Yes, indeed. And for the environment, let's actually start with Silver Gulch, 1883. We're going back in time to the days of the Wild West, and we're going to have to face Wild West type threats, and let's begin. There he is. Maybe for whatever reason, Baron Blade decided to go back in time and try to pull the moon into the Earth in the past, which is not good.
I don't know why everyone believes that, but that isn't true. Think about it. If you travel to the past, that past becomes your future. And your former present becomes the past, which can't now be changed by your new future.
Exactly.
So Back to the Future is a bunch of bullshit.
Let us begin the game. Villain always gets the first turn. He starts in play with the mobile defense platform, keeping him immune to damage. And we have an elemental redistributor. It's a 10 health device, which is like an equipment card, basically. It stays in play. Whenever Baron Blade would be dealt fire, cold, or lightning damage, redirect that damage to the hero target with the lowest HP. So he's able to manipulate those elements and blast them into hero targets. Not good. And then Baron Blade discards one card from his deck because we are playing the advanced version, bringing him 1/15 of the way toward his goal. Yikes. But we have an excellent starting hand for good Legacy. Legacy is the leader, and as such, he has many great abilities here. Let's actually start. I was thinking of starting with this, but this card, Inspiring Presence, is an ongoing card, meaning you play it and stays out in play and keeps contributing some effect. When this card enters play, each hero target regains a health point. Increased damage dealt by hero targets by 1, so they get a bit stronger for having seen his inspiring patriotic presence here. Very good. Then we have Flying Smash, which is super neat. As you can see, he's like doing a super speed fly through, and he's slamming into none other than the mobile defense platform, as it were. It's a one-shot card, meaning it does something and then it leaves play, and it goes to your discard. Legacy deals up to 3 targets 3 melee damage each. Very good, which if he played it with Inspiring Presence, would become 4 damage because he is a hero target, meaning his damage output is increased by 1. Okay. Now, the way that hero turns work is you play a card, you use a power, you draw a card, and that's it. And the sort of villain turn is similar in that they do start of turn effects, play a card, end of turn effects. And the environment cards over here, which sort of have various things that either help, hurt, or just annoy the game experience and change some of the rules. And they're all themed to whichever environment you're fighting in. So right now we're back in the Wild West, so you can expect to see some gun-toting cowboys and some horses and various other things, and temporal anomalies. Temporal anomalies, because we are currently in a time flux, as it were. So, very neat. Well, once they come out, they'll tell you what each of them do, but for right now, we won't worry about it. And the last 2 cards, which we have 2 copies of, are the Legacy Ring, which is actually a reference to his backstory, with the Legacies being generations of superheroes that get a new power and pass it on to the next generation. This is an equipment card, sort of like an ongoing card in that it remains in play and keeps doing something, but equipment cards are dealt with slightly differently compared to ongoings as far as villain or environment or hero effects are concerned. And this one says you may use an additional power during your power phase. Currently we only have 1 power to use, and that's the power printed on his character card, but Legacy has other cards that increase his powers. So let's actually start with... let's put that in play, actually. And then his main power here is called Overwatch. You may either move an environment card in play to the bottom of the environment deck, or 1 player may play a card. Currently, there are no environment cards in play to move, so that kind of narrows down what we might want to do. We could play a card. One of the heroes could play a card, so I could play one of these cards, but I really don't want to. Let's take a look at what our friends have. Good old Bunker here. It looks like he has 2 mode cards. We might play the recharge mode, maybe. Let's also take a look at what Absolute Zero has in play. You know what? Yeah, let's actually have our friend Bunker. Bunker is going to play the recharge mode. When this card enters play, it's ongoing, meaning it stays in play. Destroy all other mode cards. Mode is a keyword printed on his particular kinds of cards. You cannot play cards or use powers. Well, that seems silly. Why would you ever want to play something like that? Well, indeed, because the next effect explains it. You may draw an additional card during your draw phase. Reduce damage dealt to Bunker by 1. At the start of your turn, you may destroy this card. So essentially, the idea is he's sort of shielding and turtling up into himself, charging up energy by building cards into his hand so that he can then output them for his attacks and arsenal. So he currently only has 4 cards, and he's going to need more to power up some of his other abilities. So let's go ahead and play that card. Very good. And then at the end of Legacy's turn, he draws a card, and we'll cover that one a little bit later. Now, it is the start of Bunker's turn, which this card says at the start of your turn you may destroy it, which means we don't have to, and we're not going to. We do not get to play a card because Recharge Mode is skipping the play phase, and we don't get to use a power because it's skipping his power phase. So he's going to draw a few cards here. So as you can see, Legacy only got to draw 1. Bunker there got to draw 3 cards, meaning that he's well on his way to having a more suitable hand here. Alright, now Absolute Zero is he's kind of tricky. Whereas these guys are kind of straightforward. You play a card and do some damage, or use a power and do some damage. Absolute Zero is pretty tricky. He actually does a lot of damage to himself. You might be thinking, well, that's kind of strange. Why would you want to damage yourself? Well, Absolute Zero has the ability to turn damage to himself into other things. So, for instance, here's one of his cards, Isothermic Transducer. Whenever he is dealt fire damage, Absolute Zero deals one target that much cold damage. So whenever he takes fire, he outputs ice, basically. And then he has another one that interacts with ice damage to himself, which actually heals him. So he's kind of a mind-bendy sort of person to play, because you have to think in a way that doesn't make intuitive sense at the start of things. But let's take a look at what we have here. We have Modular Realignment to one-shot. Select one equipment card from trash and either put it into play or your hand, and then he deals himself 1 fire and 1 cold damage, which at that point you would want to have the Isothermic Transducer and his other one in place. You can maximize the usefulness of those damages. We have Glacial Structure. It's an ongoing. It gives you a new power. Draw 3 cards, then destroy this card. And we have Thermal Shockwave. Absolute Zero deals up to 3 targets 1 cold damage each. So that would be like the Elemental Distributor, the platform, and potentially the bad guy. Absolute Zero deals himself X fire damage, where X is the total amount of cold damage dealt by Absolute Zero this turn. So if he did that, he would have dealt 3 damage in total, 1 to each source, meaning he would deal himself 3 fire damage. Which, if you have the Isothermic Transducer in play, would then trigger that ability for him to deal 3 cold damage to something. So, yep, as I was saying, kind of a mind-bendy sort of guy. Let's actually start pretty simple. Let's use the Glacial Structure. And let's just draw 3 cards. There's 1. Very good. There's another one. Excellent. There's a 3rd card. It's another copy of the Transducer. And we get to draw a card at the end of our turn as well. So we've got that. And I'll talk about those cards in a second. Environment turn. Alright, Cyrus Hayes is the first environment card. He is a gunman, as you would expect here, with his lovely blue bandana and everything. Reduce damage dealt this card by 1 for each cover card in play. Cover cards come out of the environment deck. Currently there are none, so he is not reducing damage to himself. At the end of the environment turn, this card deals the 2 non-environment targets with the lowest HP 3 projectile damage. Well, fascinatingly, you might be able to tell the 2 lowest health cards in the game right now are actually the bad guy's cards. So he's actually going to shoot up at the mobile defense platform. Thank you. And he's going to shoot at the redistributor. Thanks, dude. Fantastic. You know, for a sinister-looking gunman, actually, I'm very helpful. What you've done there is very helpful. Ah, okay, so his turn went by pretty quick, but let me just explain what happened, because it actually worked out in our favor. So he just played this card, which is the Flesh Repair Nanites. Baron Blade regains 10 health points. Well, guess what? He was already at full health, so that card was basically a waste. Whereas if he had already had damage, he would have healed 10 points, which would be bad, since we're trying to beat him up before such a time as he pulls that moon into the earth by getting cards in his trash. Currently, he has 3 cards in the trash, meaning he is 1/5 of the way there, but surely we'll be able to tear through this. Thankfully, Cyrus Hayes actually helped us out. What a bro. You know, look at this guy. He does not look like a very friendly figure, but actually, he helped us out. And that's sort of the story of what environment cards can do. Sometimes they can be good, sometimes they can be bad. So if one of us drops below and ends up being the target with the lowest health, then he would end up shooting us. So it's sort of a situational thing. So, alright. We are all currently at full health still. So using Inspiring Presence would not heal anybody, but that extra damage would be pretty good. So let's go ahead and put Inspiring Presence out. And we get to use a power here. We could bury Cyrus Hayes under the environment deck using Overwatch, but we really actually want him there because he's helping us. So let's take a look at what cards we could have our friends play here. Currently, he cannot actually play cards because he's in recharge mode, so it doesn't make sense to have him play a card. What about Absolute Zero? Absolute Zero has a few cards because we just picked up a few more. Maybe Cold Snap. This is an ongoing card. At the start of Absolute Zero's turn, Absolute Zero deals each non-hero target 1 cold damage. So basically, he does like free damage at the start of his turn every round while this card's in play. Pretty neat. I might do that one, or I might do the Cryo Chamber. Cold damage dealt to Absolute Zero is increased by 1. Well, that's not good, right? Because he deals cold damage to himself. Yes, he does. But remember that if you have that other thing in play, then he is able to heal off of cold damage. So that's a good thing. And he has a power here. Absolute Zero deals himself 5 fire damage. Destroy this card. Which, if you have the isothermic transducer in play, would be 5 cold damage you're also dealing out. Additionally, Focused Apertures just increases cold damage dealt by Absolute Zero by 1. So with these both in play, he's getting +2 to his ice damage, which he tends to do quite a bit of. Let's have Absolute Zero play a card. That's what we'll do. Absolute Zero. Here we go. How about the Cryo Chamber, huh? Yeah. Excuse me. It's the it's the COVID. I know. I got it. No, I'm just kidding. I'm vaccinated, but yes, indeed. All right. Do you want to destroy recharge mode? We do have a few cards to work with, but I don't think we don't want to destroy it yet. So let's keep it in play. Draw a few more cards, and then we'll be ready to shift into a combat-oriented mode. Okay. Alright, and now we are back to Absolute Zero's turn. We get to play one of these lovely cards. Let's do the Focused Apertures. Now we're dealing essentially like +3 to ice damage. But you don't have to use a power. If I were to use a power, it would destroy this thing and deal me damage, which is not good. Or this one right here, Thermodynamics. Absolute Zero deals himself either 1 cold damage or 1 fire damage. Yeah, I don't want to do that to myself right now because I don't have these special equipments to do stuff with that damage. So I'm going to skip the power phase. And we will draw a card. Very good. Alright, the environment's going to go. Who are we going to pull down? Oh, an Explosives Wagon. Oh boy. So this is a cover card, meaning that Cyrus is going to reduce damage to himself by hiding behind the Explosives Wagon. Additionally, it increases all damage dealt by 1, whether that's by villains, heroes, and environment cards. So that's kind of good, and it's kind of bad. When this card is destroyed, deal each target 2 fire damage and 2 projectile damage, which really, when increased by 1, is going to be 3 and 3. So that's 6 damage to everything. Yikes. Thankfully, though, Cyrus Hayes is going to be gunning at Baron Blade's forces again, but remember, whereas 3, it's 4 now because of the Explosive Wagon. Thank you, Cyrus, dude. You're the MVP. I'm gonna call you a hero. Consider the price of victory. Oh dear. This is one of his one-shots. Each player discards a card. Baron Blade deals each hero target 2 sonic damage, which is actually 3 because of the Explosive Wagon. Discard X cards from the top of the villain deck, where X is the number of hero cards discarded this turn, which would be at least 3. So let's go ahead and figure out which cards we're gonna discard. Let's discard Lead from the front. We have choices here for sure. Let's discard Decommissioned Hardware. And we have 2 copies of the isothermic transducer, so let's go ahead and discard 1. Alright, and then again we're going to take 3 damage. It says 2, but when you click... Oh, right, actually for him it's 4. So Baron Blade and Legacy in the story of Sentinel Comics are actually nemesis. meaning that they actually deal extra damage to one another, which is kind of interesting. So let's go ahead and choose. Yep, so 4 damage there, 2 damage there. Consider the price of victory, discards 3 cards, then he discards 1 more from his deck, bringing him to 8 cards in his trash. Yikes, and we don't have any damage on him yet because that darn mobile defense platform is still around. Thankfully, we have a solution. Flying Smash. So this already deals 3 damage. Then we have Inspiring Presence, which is going to make it 4. Then the Explosives Wagon, which is going to make it 5 damage. I get to do it to 3 different people. So let's start with the Elemental Redistributor. Bam, there we go. Then let's hit the Mobile Defense Platform. Bam, there we go. And then let's deal 6 damage to the Baron. Because instead of it being 5, he's my nemesis, so it's 6. Bam, there you go. How do you like that, huh? And we get to use a power. I could bury a card. Or, like, now might be a good time to bury Cyrus Hayes, because currently the targets with the lowest HP are now hero targets, meaning he'll turn those 6 shooters on us. You know what? That's a good idea. Let's bury him. Move an environment card to the bottom of the environment deck. Alright, Cyrus. You did your part. Let's go ahead and have you go to the saloon for a while. Get drunk, and we'll see you again, maybe. Alright, we are in recharged mode. We are able to destroy it, allowing us to play cards and use powers again. Let's see how many cards we have. We have a good chunk. We do have a good chunk of them, don't we? I'll tell you what, let's do one more turn in recharge mode to build up just a few more cards. There's 1. There's 2. And 3. Okay. Alright, and we are at Absolute Zero's turn. He has the Cryo Chamber and Focus Apertures in play. Let's go ahead and put on the Null Point Calibration Unit. This is that card I was talking about earlier, an equipment card. When he deals cold damage to himself, he regains that many health points, which now he's going to be dealing 4 cold damage to himself with his power. He deals himself 1 cold damage, +1 for cryo, +1 for actually I think 5, because he gets +1 here, +1 here, +1 for Inspiring Presence thanks to Legacy, and +1 for the Explosives Wagon. So he should be at full health now. Yes, indeed. There we are. Full heal. Excellent. Alright, what terrors does the Silver Gulch have for us today? Lost in the Past. Alright, now remember, we are back in time. Normally we're from the future, but here we are stuck in the past. When this card enters play, discard the top 2 cards of the environment deck. Okay? At the end of the excuse me. At the end of the environment turn, if there are no cards in the environment trash, the characters are lost in time. Game over. Oh boy. So we have another loss condition. Basically what happens is, and then at the start of the environment turn, put the top card of the environment trash in the bottom of the environment deck. So as you can see here, we have 2 cards in the trash here. And at the start of the turn, those trash cards are going to go to the bottom of the Silver Gulch deck. If that trash is empty, we're considered lost in time, which is not good. Alright, Slash and Burn. Baron Blade deals... Whoops. Oh, he's just going to go ahead and hurt people. Alright, there you go. So let me explain what just happened there. Baron Blade played a one-shot card called Slash and Burn. Baron Blade deals the hero target with the lowest health points 3 melee damage. Baron Blade deals the hero target with the highest health points 5 fire damage. That's what just happened. Okay. And it's our turns again. He has 12 cards in that trash. Oh my goodness. We've got to hurry. Let's bolster our allies and have them draw some cards. Okay. Got those cards. We could have our heroes play a card. That's probably not a bad idea. He can't play cards right now, so actually I guess we won't do him. Let's see what he can do. Maybe Horrifire. Absolute Zero deals 1 target, 2 cold damage, which is really like 5. Absolute Zero deals a second target, 2 fire damage, then he deals himself some damage. Or we could put Cold Snap in play. At the start of your turn, Absolute Zero deals each non-hero target 1 cold damage. Yeah, maybe that's what we'll do. Okay. So we will cause Absolute Zero to play Cold Snap so that at the start of his turn he's going to deal some free damage. And we'll draw our card. Okay. Moving right along. Let's go ahead and destroy recharge mode so we can actually start playing some cards and using power, shall we? Okay. Let's start with the Flak Cannon, which is just a concentrated blast. Here we go. And if we do it to him, we get +1 for Legacy's Inspiring Presence, +1 to Explosive Wagon. So the 3 projectile damage became 5. Bam, there we go. We're 1/4 of the way through his health now. Oh, and now we have Cold Snap, which is going to deal 4 damage. 1 for the amount listed on the card, then Explosive Wagons, then Focused Apertures, and Inspiring Presence. Let's go ahead and do that. Bam, there we go. Unfortunately, we're attacking the Explosives Wagon, though, which is risky because when it's destroyed, everyone's going to take some fire damage and projectile damage, which would be potentially lethal. Alright. And then let's put the Isothermic Transducer in place. When we deal ourselves fire damage, we can do something with it. Let's deal cold damage, though, so we can heal up. There we go. Went from 24 health to 29. Back to full. Feeling good. Alright. What does the environment have for us? Alright, one of the cards from the trash goes there, meaning we have 1 left. When this card enters play, 1 player may discard a card. If they do, discard the top card of the environment deck. So that would give us a little bit more time as far as the lost in past. It would give us 2 cards here, meaning we'd buy ourselves a little bit of time. Let's do that. Bunker has a ton of cards. Surely we can find 1 to discard. Let's discard 1 of his turret modes because he has 2 copies of it. Alright, now we have to take some damage. It's going to be 2 energy damage, but it's really 3 because of the Explosive Wagon. And thankfully it does at least hit the Baron, so we got that. That Explosives Wagon is getting dangerously close to blowing up, though. I'm kind of worried about that. Living Force Field. Reduce damage dealt to Baron Blade by 1, so he has a shield ongoing now, so that's not good. And he has 13 cards in that trash. Ugh. Oh boy. Oh, I have an idea, though. So this is sneaky, right? So let me do this first. So I'm going to go ahead and maybe give this Thok here as a 1-shot. Bam! You see him uppercut in this fellow, which I think actually is like a bad version of Legacy, because you see they have the same Lantern Sigil here. So I think he's actually fighting an evil Legacy, so to speak, with black hair, it appears. I don't think it's Baron Blade. No, I don't think so. Legacy deals 1 target 3 melee damage, which is really 4 due to Inspiring Presence, and 5 because of the Explosives Wagon. And then he gets to draw a card. So let's go. And then if he hits Baron Blade, it's 6 because Baron Blade is his nemesis. But I forgot, Baron Blade does have a force field, bringing it back down to 5. Still, good amount of damage. Bam. Sock him right in the jaw. Now, this Explosives Wagon is getting very close to blowing up. That would not be good. So, I'm going to use Legacy's Overwatch ability. You may either move an environment card in play to the bottom of the environment deck, or 1 player may play a card. I'm going to use the one to move the Explosives Wagon to the bottom of the environment deck. Because technically, as you see here, when this card is destroyed, deal each target 2 fire, 2 projectile. I think burying it is not actually destroying it. It's sort of a sneaky little way to get around that imposition. Let's go ahead and give it a try. Move an environment card to the bottom of the deck. Let's move the Explosives Wagon. Oh, look at that. See? No damage to us. So that means that I didn't technically destroy it. It's like I just took the handles of the wagon and just pushed it around the corner for, you know, this is a future Legacy problem here. We'll just tuck it back here. Maybe we had ended up rolling it into the saloon with our friend Cyrus there. Alright. Now this Lost in the Past card is still in play, but thankfully we have 3 cards in here, so we at least have 3 rounds worth of time before we become Lost in the Past. Alright, Freedom 5 Bunker. What are we going to do with you? I think I think what we are going to do is we're going to use this Gatling gun. This is a limited equipment here. Equipment card stays in play like this flat cannon. At the start of your turn, Bunker deals one target 2 projectile damage. At the end of your turn, discard one card or destroy this card. So basically you have to pay for it by discarding a card every round. But it does 2 free damage at the start of your turn. I think we're going to start with that. And as far as our power, we could just use the flak cannon to shoot a round of buckshot into Baron Blade's gut, or we could actually use Freedom 5 Bunker's innate power, tactical uplink. Reveal and replace the top of each card of each hero deck. If you reveal a mode, put it into play. Another player may put the top card of their deck into play. Now we really need to tear through that health, don't we? So let's go ahead and do this. It's guaranteed damage. It's 3 damage, +1 for Inspiring Presence, but -1 because of the force field. So, bringing him to 14. Okay. Alright, now we have to discard a card to pay for our Gatling gun here. Let's discard the upgrade mode. There we go. Alright, Cold Snap is going to be dealing some damage here. Very good. Because, again, this card, at the start of your turn, Absolute Zero deals each non-hero target, which the villain would be non-hero, 1 cold damage, which then gets buffed by Focused Apertures card right here, and the Inspiring Presence from Legacy. Very good. Now we have choices. Maybe we do this one. Absolute Zero deals 1 non-hero target, Baron Blade in this case, 3 cold damage, which is really 5. Well, actually it's 4 because he's going to reduce it by 1. Then Absolute Zero deals himself 3 fire damage, but remember, now that we have this in play, whenever we deal ourselves fire damage, we deal 1 target that much cold damage, which then benefits from our damage buffs, like the Focused Apertures and like the Inspiring Presence. So I think this is a great time to use that. So there we go. 4 damage. And then I'm going to deal myself a little bit of damage here. 3 damage. And then I get to deal out cold damage to Baron Blade. There we go. So he only has 4 health. I think we could tear through that. Now I have a choice to make. I think I'm going to do some cold damage to myself to heal up. There we go. Excuse me. Alright, this is going pretty well. Okay, what's the environment up to? Removed a card from the trash, so now there's only 2 in there. Stout Barrel. This is a cover card. Whenever a gunman card would be dealt damage, redirect that damage to this card instead. So it's like he's hiding in the barrel, you know? At the end of the environment turn, play the top card in the environment deck. Oh boy, so this is going to be playing additional cards from the environment deck. Okay. Another barrel. Oh boy, so now we're going to not only have these additional covers, but this could play another card from the top of the environment deck every environment turn. Oh boy, and we have Matthew Hayes, who actually shot at Baron Blade for us. Thanks, guy. Oh boy. And here we are. So in the beginning of Sentinels of the Multiverse, every one of the original core box bosses was given what people generally refer to as a screw you card. Basically, it's just like a thing where it's like, okay, yeah, I know you're all set up, and I know that you're well on your way to success, but here's a reset in the middle of it to just undo all your progress and start you from scratch. And this is one such example, Devious Disruption. Each player may destroy any of their equipment and or ongoing cards. Baron Blade deals each hero target X lightning damage, where X is 3 plus the number of hero, ongoing, and equipment cards still in play. So, excuse me, you could just leave everything in play if you want, but you're going to take like 20 damage or something like that. So you have to destroy at least a few things if you want to try and survive the whole of the match. I think this card is really annoying. I think what it should do is basically go person by person and say, I'm going to deal you this much damage, and whatever you destroy, I'm only going to damage you for what you as a hero have left in play. Not what everyone has in play and stuff. Because if you're playing with multiple players, it's technically up to the player whether they want to destroy stuff. So it's like, if they have 27 health, they'll be like, I'll be fine. I know that you have 4 health and you'll die, but I'll be fine. So I'm not going to destroy my stuff. So, but first, let's comment on Matthew real quick. Matthew Hayes, I love the monocle as well in his little cup of tea. You know, what's funny is these Hayes brothers are supposed to be like, you know, kind of this bad Wild West gang and stuff, but so far, just because of their targeting parameters, they've been helping us out. So he gets damage dealt to him is reduced by 1 for each cover card, so he can hide in these barrels. And then at the end of the environment turn, this card deals the non-environment target with the lowest HP for projectile damage. And in this case, Baron Blade, only having 4 HP at the time, was certainly the non-environment target with the lowest HP, so he ended up shooting him for me. Thanks, Matt. Alright, now we have to deal with this. Okay. Let's start with Legacy. I know we have another copy of this in our hand. So let's get rid of the Legacy Ring. Goodbye. We don't even have a second power to use it with right now anyway. I don't want to destroy Inspiring Presence because that's a really good card. Let's go to Bunker. Do we want to destroy either of these? I really don't think so. Absolute Zero's got a bunch of crap in play. Yep. I guess we could destroy Cold Snap, even though I like it. I think we'll do enough damage without it. However, all these other bits are kind of useful for him, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit it. 10 damage, which is going to be 11 to him and 10 to the rest. Ugh! Yikes. Alright, ouch, ouch, and ouch. Thankfully, Absolute Zero, you know, he's not too bothered by such things because he heals up. Now, you might be wondering, wait, that's 15 cards. Shouldn't the game be over? Not so. Because this is at the start of the villain turn, if there are 15 or more cards in the trash, he puts the Terra Lunar Impulsion Beam into the game. So, we still have one more round before the next start of his turn. And he only has 1 health. Surely we can take care of business before then. Let's see. I have some choices here. Heroic Interception is a really neat card. When this card enters play, Legacy deals himself 3 melee damage, which is really 4 because of Inspiring Presence. Hero targets other than Legacy are immune to damage. At the start of your turn, destroy this card. It's like he's like taking the blows for them sort of thing. Very neat. I don't think it's time to use that just yet, though. I suppose we could start with Flying Smash. Let's hit the Baron first and foremost. Bam! Uh-oh, what's this? We killed him, didn't we? Well, no, unfortunately, it turns out he is a vengeful mad scientist, and he has a robot suit. So after you dealt that damage, he flips over to his new form. When flipped to this side, Baron Blade's maximum HP is 30 instead of 40. Baron Blade is restored to 30 health points. The villain trash is placed on top of the villain deck. All 3 copies of Mobile Defense Platform are moved to the villain trash, so he doesn't have that nonsense anymore. The villain deck is then shuffled. At the end of the villain turn, Baron Blade deals the hero target with the highest HP 3 energy damage. So he's given up on the idea of pulling the moon into the earth, and now he's just wanting to cut us up with his Baron's blade here, so to speak. Alright, so there he is. Alright, now I have to pick a second target to be dealt damage by the Flying Smash. Let's get rid of these covers, because currently Matthew Hayes is hiding behind them. Bam, there's one. And they also play more cards from the environment deck, which is not good either. Now, we have a power we can use. We could either move an environment card in play to the bottom of the environment deck, or one player may play a card. Let's see. Let's see what he has. Oh, he's got some Horrifire. Horrifire would be pretty good. Maybe I'll let him play the Horrifire card. That's what I'll do. Alright, Absolute Zero is going to play this Horrifire one-shot. There we go. So he gets to deal 1 target 2 cold damage, which is really going to be like 4. Let's hit Matthew Hayes with it, shall we? Oh, no, he's going to hide behind the barrel. Let's actually hit the Baron with it. Ugh, unfortunately. Oh yeah, that's right, we're in the advanced one. So he's reducing damage to himself by 1 on top of his living force field, which is reducing it by 1. So he's reducing damage to himself by 2. That's no fun. Let's destroy one of these barrels. There we go. Now I'm going to deal myself some cold damage, which is just going to heal me. And some fire damage, which I then get to output as cold damage to destroy the other barrel. There we go. So those barrels are out of the way. We can finally get at Matthew there. Alright, in the Gatling gun, at the start of our turn, I get to deal some projectile damage. If I do it to Baron Blade, it's only 1 damage. If I do it to Matthew, that's 3. Let's go ahead and shoot Matthew with it. Alrighty. I think we're going to put the heavy plating on. Reduce damage dealt to Bunker by 1, because he's not doing too hot as far as health goes. And let's use our flak cannon to finish off our friend Matthew Hayes here, because I think he would be shooting at us now. We don't want that. No, sir. Alright, now we have to discard a card to pay for Gatling gun. Let's discard... the maintenance unit. There we go. Alright. So here we are. We have modular realignment. Select 1 equipment card from your trash and either put it into play or your hand. Absolute Zero deals himself 1 fire damage and a cold damage. The only equipment I have in here is a isothermic transducer, which I already have one in play, so I can't get another one. The onboard module installation lets you draw a card, search your deck for a module, put it in hand, shuffle your deck, and then play a card. So that's basically a free card play. Let's take a look at what we've got. We'll pull that one out. And these are not helpful, so let's go ahead and put this one up here and play. This is Thermal Shockwave. Absolute Zero deals up to 3 targets 1 cold damage each. Absolute Zero deals himself X fire damage, where X is the total amount of cold damage dealt by Absolute Zero this turn. So you have to remember, though, because of the fact that we have these little buffs in play, like Focused Apertures and Inspiring Presence, that's really 3 to 3 targets, meaning it's 9 damage, which then he would hit himself for 9 damage and put out pretty decent damage, clearly, but quite a risky strategy, as you can imagine. So let's go and deal ourselves some cold damage to get a little bit more healing. There we go. Alright. Ah, Impale. I love that card. I'll show you why when we come back around for it. Alrighty. Let's see. We have a Water Trough, which is a 7 health target. It's a cover. Reduce fire damage dealt to gunman cards by 2. Increase all lightning damage by 1. I guess because water is conductive with lightning, so kind of makes a little bit of sense. Oh, consider the price of victory. Each player discards 1 card. Baron Blade deals each hero 2 sonic damage. Discard X cards from the top number of the villain, top of the villain deck, where X equals the number of hero cards discarded this way. This could have been really bad a bit ago, because that would get him basically 3 more cards on his way to the 15 he needs to pull the moon into the earth, but he's not trying to do that anymore. So this is an excellent time to get this. Which card to get rid of? Let's get rid of Next Evolution. And let's get rid of... I like all of these. Recharge mode. I guess we really don't need that too much anymore. And we have 3 copies of modular realignment, so let's discard one of those. And we'll get hit. I'm his nemesis, so I'm going to get hit a little harder. Everyone else is only going to get hit for 2 or 1 because of his heavy plating. He reduces a little bit. There we go. And at the end of his turn, he's going to cut someone for some energy damage. No problem, because he is more than healthy enough to take it. I suppose... let's use Thok here. Let's uppercut our Baron Blade over here for 3 damage. Okay. And then we can use our power to let someone play a card or bury a card. I don't think we really need to bury one, so let's look at what cards folks can play. It might make sense to let him play a card. Like the grenade launcher. We don't have one of those in play yet. Or the ammo drop. Yeah, maybe the ammo drop. So ammo drop is super neat. Whenever a villain card is destroyed, you may draw a card, even if a mode card says you cannot. Let's put that in play. He has a few more targets in this deck, I'm sure of it. Okay. Let's go ahead and use some of our Gatling gun damage to hit Baron Blade. Then, let us get the grenade launcher on board. Maybe. What do we have in the trash? This one lets you take a card from your trash and put it into play. What do we have in here for equipment? Oh, the healing thing. Yeah, we don't really need that yet. Let's go ahead and put... I know I say that while I clearly have 10 health. But there is a method to the madness. Alright, and you know what else? I could unload on him, or use a flat cannon on him, but I don't think so. I think I'm actually going to use this power. So it's going to let me look at the top card of all the heroes, and then choose one of these two to put their top card in play. And if it's a mode card, it comes straight into play. It's not a mode card, but Impale is coming into play. Let's put Impale in play. Yes, indeed. So this card is an ongoing card. Play this card next to a non-hero target, like Baron Blade. At the start of your turn, Absolute Zero deals that target 2 cold damage, which, remember, is really actually like 4 cold damage because we have our Apertures card buffing it by 1 and the Inspiring Presence. And then if the target leaves play, destroy this card. If this target leaves play, we win the game. So let's put it next to him, because the start of his turn is coming right up here, as you know. And let's pay a card for a Gatling gun. We have 2 copies of Flat Cannon. We already have 1 in place. Let's pay that one. Alright. Impale is doing some damage to our friend Baron Blade. There we go. And here's what's also beautiful. This is, for whatever reason, not a limited card. I guess because you're supposed to put it... Well, I don't know. So, I would not think you could impale the same target twice, but the game lets you do it. And clearly we're going to do that. So let's go ahead and play this card next to Baron Blades. He's getting impaled by 2 ice towers there. And let's go ahead and heal ourselves. Yes, indeed. Very good. The environment turn. What do we got going on? Who's coming out to play? Sheriff Pratt. So this is the law. He's the sheriff. Reduce damage dealt this card by 1 for each cover, and there is a cover in play. At the end of the environment turn, this card deals the villain or gunman card with the lowest HP 3 projectile damage. Now you'll notice there, it does not say anything about heroes. That's because he's on our side. So this guy actually is purely friendly to us. He will attack the villain or the environment target with the lowest HP, whether it's one of the gunmen in the environment deck, or one of Baron Blade's little flunkies, or Baron Blade himself, potentially, for 3 projectile damage. Very cool, and he's going to shoot the Baron right now. Bing, bing, bing. Thank you, Sheriff Pratt. Okay, Hasten Doom. Baron Blade deals each hero target 2 toxic damage, then play the next card of the villain deck. Ugh! That's gross. Alright, yep, Bubble, Toil and Trouble, and he brings out a Blade Battalion, which these are his flunkies. And I'll show you what they do real quick. At the end of the villain turn, this card deals the hero target with the highest HP X melee damage, where X is the current health points of this card. I guess to simulate that there are 5 members of this Blade Battalion. As this goes down, you're taking out individual members of this little Blade Battalion here. Alright. It's our turn here. Let's... no. Maybe now's not a bad time for the heroic interception. So I dealt myself 4 damage, but now all my friends are immune from damage this round. And then let's play this card here to allow one of our friends to play another card. I could have it be me, but I don't think there's any use in that right now. So let's look at what cards he has. See which ones. I think what I might do, I might actually put him into turret mode. Yeah, that's what I'll do. I'm going to put Bunker into turret mode, which I'll show you in a second why I'm doing that once that comes back out. Alright, Bunker's in turret mode. He's going to pay for his Gatling gun, but before we do that, let's take a quick look here. This is a mode card. When this card comes into play, destroy all other modes. You cannot play or draw cards. Well, that seems terrible. Well, except for the fact that we have quite a few powers. You may use an additional power during your power phase. Increase damage dealt by Bunker by 1. So now that we've set up our powers here, we're able to get extra damage off of them. And we're pretty well set up, so I think we're in a good mode here. And because damage is increased by 1, this 2 is really going to turn into 4. Let's see. Should we shoot the Baron, or should we shoot his Blade Battalion? Yeah, let's shoot the Blade Battalion. Bring them down to 1 health. We do not want to destroy turret mode. Let's use some powers, shall we? Buckshot for the Baron. Bam. That's 3 damage. Bam. Then let's use our grenade launcher. Let's do a few more damage to the Baron. There we go. Let's finish off his Blade Battalion. Excellent. And that allows me to draw a card because of the ammo drop. And I guess we'll hit the water trough. Because we don't want to shoot our lawman because he actually is helping us. And let's pay for Gatling gun. I suppose we'll pay by spending the maintenance unit. Alright, we got 2 impales. So there's 2 damage there. 2 damage from the second copy of impale that we've attached. And let us continue on. Ah, perfect. We have Fueled Freeze, 1 shot. Destroy up to 3 ongoing cards. Absolute 0 deals damage to each non-hero target, where X is the number of ongoing cards destroyed. So let's get rid of that damage reduction for Baron Blade first and foremost, which will allow Bunker to draw a card because of ammo drop. Is there anything else I really want to destroy? I guess I could destroy... I really don't want to destroy... I guess fine. And we don't have to destroy a third. So we have 2 cold damage. Let's go ahead and hit the Baron. Bringing him to 9. And I could do some damage here. There we go. And unfortunately, we're hitting Sheriff Pratt. Sorry, buddy. And then let us deal ourselves some cold damage to get some of those juicy heals. Oh, ha ha ha. So, what just happened there is kind of funny. I'll explain it in just a second. So, what just happened, you noticed that my 13 health didn't rise at all. Well, that's because I tried to damage myself, and right now, I forgot, but Legacy is currently making us immune to damage, so I was not actually successful in damaging myself, meaning I didn't heal. Funny enough. Now we have Sustain the Portal here. We could discard a card to put a card in the trash, meaning that we're still lost, or still not losing from Lost in Time. But I think we have 3 cards in the trash already, and this is about to enter. I'm not worried about it. At the end of the environment turn, deal each target 2 energy damage and destroy this card. Good news is, 2 of our friends are immune to this damage, so that's very good. And of course, Sheriff is going to shoot Baron Blade for us. Very good, Sheriff. They're immune. Yep, immune to that damage. This is the heroic interception. Alrighty. What's the Baron up to? Elemental Redistributor. Okay, that's not going to deal any damage on its own. And he's going to swing at Absolute Zero, but Absolute Zero is currently being protected by Legacy, so... Very good. Alright, this Baron only has 6 health left. Do you think we could get through it? I think we can get through it. Let's see here. Let's put the Danger Sense up here, I guess. And we want someone to play a card, probably. Or we could... No, we don't want to bury the law. The law's our friend! Alright, 1 player may play a card. We probably don't want him... We can't actually have him play a card because he's currently in turret mode where he's unable to play cards. What cards can we have you play, my friend? I guess we could have you do this to deal fire damage to yourself, which then lets you deal cold damage to Baron Blade. Maybe that's what we'll do. Oh, wait, but if he deals cold damage, it'll get redirected to him. Let me take one more look here. I guess we could do this and see what card comes out. Because none of these cards are going to really be that helpful to us. Yeah, okay. Let's go to Absolute Zero. We're going to play this onboard one, which will let us draw a card, essentially. Then pick one of these modes. And then play a card. So, pick that one. Now, we could play a card. Oh, well actually, this is kind of interesting. So let's play this card. Select 1 equipment card from your trash and put it into player hand. That's going to have to go into my hand. I'm going to deal myself 1 fire damage because of Cryo Chamber. Which then means I output some cold damage. Which I can apply. If I applied it actually to him... Oh, he would direct it to Legacy. We wouldn't want that. Bam, there we go. And then I'll heal myself a little bit. Very good. Alright. Gatling gun. Let's go ahead and fill the Baron Blade with some lead. There we go. Do I want to destroy turret mode? Certainly not. Because we have a flak cannon, and one shot from the flak cannon will be enough to penetrate the hull of Baron Blade's armor suit. Very good. Excellent, friends. We won. We destroyed Baron Blade. We stopped his plans to create terrible lunar and earth collisions that we don't want to happen for obvious reasons. Very good. So we'll have to record on our character, or on our campaign sheet here, that these 3 heroes were used in this battle, and we were able to defeat Baron Blade, which will unlock us 2 things. 1, it will unlock us Benchmark, the new hero to add to our roster. And 2, because we completed a fight at the Silver Gulch, we are going to get our dear friend, the Chrono Ranger. And perhaps we will use 1 or 2 of them in our next fight. But we'll have to do that on the next episode. Thank you all so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I know it was probably a lot to swallow if you're not familiar with Sentinels of the Multiverse, but hopefully my explanations were enough to explain what was going on well enough for you to follow along, at least loosely. As you see more and more of this, it will begin to make more and more sense, I think, and especially with Legacy and Bunker. Those guys are pretty straightforward. Absolute Zero is a bit different. He's more complicated of a hero, but look at him. He actually made out the best out of everyone here. Poor Legacy was at 2 health. I was starting to bite my nails there, but he made it out all right. And we will look forward to our next battle on the next episode of Simpleton Supers. Thank you so much.